What's going on, brothers out there? Welcome to the latest episode of our podcast. I am Whisky Geo, with always my main man by my side, Coach Mike Mack. We
Right
hope
here.
everyone's doing good. We hope everyone's had a good week. If you've had a shitty week, know that today is a new chance for awesomeness. And Mike, I want to switch things up today.
You betcha. Let's do it.
So, first of all, I'm going to give the usual warning. This is not legal advice. There shouldn't be any legal advice discussed on this episode, particularly. Anyways,
yeah, this one's
but we're
probably
just
not.
But
you never know. You never know, Gio, where we go with this stuff, right? I mean,
never know.
We might come around some corner and
we came up with a topic. It's not scripted. We're just going with it. We're gonna have some fun with it. And I know a lot of you guys are gonna relate out there. And if there's any women that are gonna end up listening to the show, I know that they're gonna relate to this as well. But we're gonna talk about red flags. I think it's just gotten motherfucking ridiculous.
It's like a culture now, right? I mean, it's gotten to be like anything can be a red flag now. You know, it's crazy.
Yeah, and let's be clear. Like, the one thing that I do in coaching or whenever I'm talking with friends, or fuck it, even my own single life and trying to, be in the dating pool and everything else, is like, I know what I want and I have my list of what I want, what my boundaries are, what I'm looking for, and I make it very clear. Sure. Personally, do I believe in red flags? Yes, to a certain extent, but I think that today's culture and Google University has turned preferences into red flags.
I think so. Yeah, explain that. What do you mean by turning preferences into red flags?
So, a red flag, like the pure definition, is a warning sign of danger. Right?
Yeah.
But we live in a society where Google University has taught men and women how to supposedly diagnose people to be narcissists, to be negative, to be this, to be that. And, there's some bad women out there, like there's some bad men out there.
Oh, sure. In any group.
But I think it's become ridiculous. And I kind of want to address it, and I kind of want to have fun with it on two levels. First of all, when you start asking people, when you connect with a person over a dating site or whatever, you got to figure out what level of single they are. Right? The list that I've come up with, all right, if my eyes shift because I'm reading it off a screen. So, like, the first thing I want to know is, are you single? Are you single?
Oh, here we go.
Are you single and still living with or banging your ex? Are you single and unhealed?
Say that again. Single what?
Yet unhealed. Like, you haven't healed from your past relationship.
Unhealed. Yeah. Okay, gotcha.
Are you single but bleeding PTSD all over the place? Single but you still wish you were with your ex? Oh. And the last one that I came up with, and it could go for men and women, but I'm going to use just the one example. Single, but you have that friend that's like a brother that you never need to worry about. It is complicated out there, brother. Like,
oh, it's all kinds of complicated. I tell you what, when you get two people coming along, we got. I see a chat come up.
We got.
Trying to see, man.
Sam is in marriage. People spend way too much time looking for flaws rather than seeing the best in someone. If you go looking for the bad, you'll never find the good. Absolutely.
Boom.
Jelly Roll said it best.
That's the red flag.
Yeah.
looking for the negative, the red flag. And
Jelly Roll said it best. The windshield is bigger than the rear view mirror for a reason, right?
oh,
Because
I
you
love that
have
one.
to keep your outlook forward. Whatever's gone on in your past, Mike, you are not the man that you were yesterday, and you're not the man that you're going to be tomorrow, because you're always supposed to evolve. You're always supposed to try and improve yourself, right? But
Oh, absolutely.
we live in a society that's been so damaged, so scarred, that when we meet somebody new, it's like we want to go poke around and see what the trauma is. And let's be clear, okay? There's times in my life where I've been an ass, okay? I haven't always been the nicest. And look, let's be honest here, okay? I'm 43 years old, right? And anyone 30 years and up cannot say I've always been perfect in relationships. That's horseshit. That's horseshit. There's the meme that goes around that says the difference between you and me is that when I tell our story, I mention where I fucked up too.
Right.
I've
So,
made go ahead.
I was just thinking, my first relationship was with my high school sweetheart, married her. So I didn't have a whole lot of experience out in the dating world. Okay. It was high school stuff and our first date, my senior prom, and it went from there. Um, it, it, so when you say the list of single, and all the different ones, I've never been, in the complicated world of dating like that. It just hasn't come around for me. But I know that I I blamed everyone else when that relationship ended. I blamed it wasn't me, right at
So
the
you
beginning.
fell under single but bleeding PTSD all over the place.
That's the one. That's the one for me back
And we've all been
20
there.
years ago.
We've all been there. But the thing is that
But I didn't stay there.
no, and that's the big thing that I want to talk about today is when you're gonna get back in the dating pool, don't do it unless you're ready.
Exactly.
Right? Like,
Exactly.
and I hear so many stories on top of my own where it's like you start figuring out these ridiculous things that go on, right? Um, one recent red flag that I was made aware of for myself. So here's the thing, right? I left the house when I was 15. Both of my parents are gone. I have my godparents left and my son. I've been blessed. Okay. I've been blessed with 6 people that I consider my nieces and nephews that are not blood. All right.
Nice.
A good friend of mine's daughter, who's now 30, I've known her for the last 15 years. I've always been like an uncle to her. She introduces me as her uncle. Um, we talk about everything. I've always been in her corner. She's my niece.
Awesome.
She's not like a sister to me. She isn't. She's my niece. Like, I could not see her in that way. Like, she's family.
Right. Yep.
I've got 5 other ones that are between the ages of 5 and 13. And I'm that cool uncle that likes to spoil them. Well, I was told this week that spoiling my nieces and nephews that are not blood is nothing but a cry for attention and is a red flag, and that our
Wow.
conversation couldn't continue. I'm like, and I'd understand, like, not understanding the dynamic with my older niece, but apparently spoiling, because the birthdays of one of my 5-year-old nephews and my 12-year-old niece is coming up. And apparently spoiling them the way I do is toxic.
It's toxic. Yeah, that's
And she told me, she's like, if we're going to be in a relationship, it's supposed to be me, you, your son, and my 2 daughters. And I'm like, oh, hold on a second.
And that's it.
I'm like, wait, now I'm confused. So I got to give up my nieces and nephews that are not blood, not spoil them anymore, because it's an obvious cry for attention.
So wait a second. So
but
if they
I got to spoil her kids that did not come out of my ball sack. Make that make sense.
So if you were to have by blood nieces and nephews,
apparently it would be okay to spoil.
That would be okay. I'm just trying to clarify.
It's so when you break it down, Mike, what happens is it's not a red flag. It's single but bleeding PTSD all over the place. Because there's something that happened in that girl's past that I don't know what it is, but now she wants her next man for her, spoiling her and you know what? Cool.
Go find him. He's out there somewhere.
So here's the thing, right? Released her with love. She is a sweetheart. She is a fantastic woman. Love talking to her. Not for me. Because our preferences do not align.
Yep. You'd be pulling in 2 different directions. When you look at getting together and having a relationship, you're 2 different vehicles, right? But you're going to have a union. You want to go in a different. You want to have some same purposes. Not that you're going to have all the same likes. Okay, you're not. I mean, that's it. But you got to have some common ground, some commonality about basic beliefs of how a relationship's going to work.
Absolutely. And there's, again, it boils down to preferences and values.
Exactly.
I am strong on communication. I know what I want, and I have no problems calling you out on your horse shit.
Bingo. That's what I love about you.
And that is known as toxic masculinity. Now, let me be clear, okay? My last marriage, I love her and still do. We brought out the best in each other. We brought out the worst in each other. I know where I fucked up. And I'm not afraid to talk about it.
Right.
But have I evolved since then? Yes, because I've changed my parameters. I've changed what I want. And it's not just because a woman doesn't communicate in the same style as me doesn't mean she's a red flag.
No, we all have different ways to communicate.
So, we have to avoid in this, and this is where it's tough because it's easier for me to say, Mike, you're a walking red flag, than for me to say, just doesn't add up. Our values don't connect. Why? Because blaming you with a red flag takes away me looking at myself in the mirror.
Bingo. I was just going to say, it's one of those, you're casting stones at the center, and yeah.
Any relationship that doesn't work, there's 2 people involved. Right?
Absolutely.
There's two people. I fucked up my marriages. Point blank. I fucked up my marriage.
It took me a while to get there, but so did I.
But here's the thing. So did she. And it's not looking to give an equal split or to put blame on her. It's we did not see eye to eye, and we clashed, and it fucked things up.
Yep.
And that is really hard. And I learned from it, and I went to therapy, and I moved on, and I'm better and stronger for it today.
It's so good, Gio, that we can talk about, the red flags, the perspectives, the healing. Um, as I look at myself over the years and I glance back at the rear view once in a while, I think, I've become a stronger man now than I was 20 years ago. I was pretty weak back then.
You weren't. So here's the thing. I'm going to challenge your style of thinking, Mike.
Sure.
You weren't weak. You didn't. You were evolved. You were at a different point in your evolution. So here's the thing, right? Baby comes out of mom. Is it weak because it can't walk?
It's developing
And
at that stage.
And it's got to learn how to walk. It's got to learn how to crawl, and it's got to learn how to walk,
Sure.
and it's got to learn.
Sure.
Okay. So where you were 20 years ago, you didn't know how to handle that emotion. You were never taught. You didn't move forward. So you weren't weak. You never
True.
had, like, I can't say I'm shitty at baseball because I can't hit 100-mile-an-hour fastball. I'm not shitty at it. I never practiced it enough.
Right. True.
It's not a weakness. I never worked on it. You look at these pro athletes that are absolute. They put in the work.
Oh, geez, yeah. You talk about a Michael Jordan or a Kobe Bryant, or
you look at their mentality. These guys were on top of the world and still continued to practice hard. So it's all about evolution. But when you look at trying to get into a new relationship, we've taken the term red flag so far because, for me, when I start a conversation with somebody that I just connect and they're like, well, since when are you single? What the fuck does it matter? If I'm talking, it's because I feel that I'm ready to be in a relationship.
Right.
Right? So I'll say, you know what? Like, it's been since this. Oh, it hasn't been that long. What the fuck do you know about me?
Wow.
Well, I find that, you must not have healed. And pray tell, what psychologist degree do you have up on the fucking wall?
Right.
That allows you to make that determination. The thing is that you haven't.
See, now there's the key right there. I think if you're not healed, you see things differently, you feel things differently. It's an amazing difference between.
To me, Mike, there's one red flag.
What do you mean?
To me, when it comes to relationships, there's only one red flag.
And what's that?
Have you healed? Have you truly healed? And if the answer is no, that's the flag.
Wow. That's powerful.
There is only one red fucking flag. And look at it in anything, right? Oh, they're an alcoholic. They haven't healed. Oh, they're a drug user. They haven't healed. Oh, right. There's been abuse in the past. You haven't healed. Oh, there's this. You haven't healed.
So true. So true.
That's the only fucking red flag that in my mind exists. I hear this. Well, if he doesn't have this job, he's a red flag. Are you fucking kidding me? You just don't want to date a guy that makes 50 grand a year. Because something happened in your life that makes you think that you need a man that earns 6 figures.
Yep. Well, we don't want to go into that woman comparison too much.
But this works in both ways. So I want to be clear. It's easy for us to say we're woman bashing, but we're not, because on the flip side, it could be the man that goes, well, I want a woman, like if she doesn't cook and clean and this and that and whatever, it's a red flag. Motherfucker, did you learn how to do that shit on your own?
Some haven't.
You're looking for somebody that is going to clean up your shortcomings. My son is 15, turning 16 in 2 weeks. I told him, dude, daddy left the house when he was 15. Came from an Italian household where boys don't do shit. We don't cook. We don't clean.
Around the house.
No, we don't cook. We don't clean. We sit down, we eat, we get fat, we go to the couch, watch TV, fart, and have snacks. That is our life.
Right.
So when I left, guess what? I was like, where the fuck is the food coming? So I told my son, my job as your father is to raise you to a level where if something happens to mommy and daddy, you're good.
Yep. I mean, that's it for parents in general right there, is to get them to a point. And parents nowadays, and probably can go on a whole nother deal here, but parents today want to be friends with their kids. They want to be, there's a time to be pals, okay? But they still got to have that parent-child deal. And as the child gets older, there's more and more freedoms. There's more, less control and more control given to the kid as they get up there into, especially the late teens.
But you got to be careful, Mike, because that can be toxic.
It can be toxic.
Because
are you throwing a red flag?
There's a red flag, another red flag on the play, 15-yard penalty. Because if you're tough with your kid because you're teaching him a lesson, well, now you're being mean, and it's toxic, and you're in. Look,
abuse.
I am blessed with my son. Okay, the amount of work that I put into him, his work ethic and everything, and I constantly get compliments about how he is. We go to a restaurant, he knows how to, like, I don't order for him, like, he orders, and he's very polite, and, like, I have waitresses going, oh my God, like, he's so well behaved. Like, there's a reason why. The best thing is I go to my godparents' house in Toronto, right? They're like, oh my God, he's such a good boy, and he's this, and he's that, and whatever. Then me and him get into a fight, and she's like, no, but you can't yell at him. And I'm like, did you?
They throwing the red flag at you.
They're throwing the red flag at me, right? And then they're like, I tell them, I'm like, do you ever think that the reason why my son is so great is because he has these strong boundaries and parameters around him?
Bam. Right there. Right.
I've been called a toxic stepdad in the past because I applied the same theories to my former stepkids that I did to my son. But don't tell me that you love me because of the way that I raised my son and then have a problem with the way that I raised his son.
With it.
Right. It doesn't.
Right? It's like, what?
Right? So the phrase that comes out when we talk about that is, you hate me for the same reason that you love me.
Yep.
And these are all red flags that keep coming out, and you're just not healed. You're just not. There is no red flag. There is one red flag, and that is you not being healed. Because when two people that are truly healed get together, it should be something fantastic.
It's fantastic, for sure. Because then there's so much energy, there's so much attention and care that needs to take on when there's a wound, an open wound. Okay, an open wound, whatever it may be. We talked about that some before, but whatever that wound is, it takes a lot of care to, and it's not it's not healthy. It's not. We can go back to the Disney thing we are talking about. You know, the knight in shining armor and the saving the princess and the, you know, all of that. It's just.
Here's another red flag for you: protecting your boundaries. Protecting your. This is something I will not accept. Holy shit, you're toxic.
And boundaries are important.
I canceled a date a little while ago because we were talking during the day and we were supposed to meet up at 7. And I was like, hey, I'd like to see you sooner. Can you meet up at 6? She's like, let me get home in 20 minutes and I'll text you to let you know. 4 hours later. And I'm like, listen, cool, I get it. You got busy. Fine. I do not wait 4 hours for a text message. It's different if you're at work, if you're not, but if you are out roaming, out and about doing your errands.
Right.
Well, I don't like being scolded. You're not being scolded. I'm telling you what I want and what I don't want.
Wow.
Red flag. But I asked the question, are you used to having people telling you that they don't like something that you do? No, nobody tells me that. Well,
ooh.
Because when it happens, there's something that is not healed inside of you.
Right. Because there's something that there's kickback, I'm guessing. Like she did with you, apparently.
And we're all some kind of fucked up. We're all some kind of. Are we ever going to be fully healed? No. But can we look at ourselves in the mirror and tell ourselves the truth? Can I look at my second marriage and say, I know I fucked up. I know that my behavior wasn't the best. I know that I hurt her.
Right.
Yeah. There's things that went fundamentally wrong, you know. But it doesn't make her any less of an extraordinary woman. It's just that together there were things that didn't click and we weren't able to make them click. And there was, where I thought I was healed, there was other wounds that came up. And where she thought she was healed, there was other wounds that came up. And like I said, we brought out the best of each other. We brought out the worst of each other.
So as we get to close to the 30-minute mark here, let's have a take-home message, shall we? About
heal.
About what we're talking about.
Look at yourself in the fucking mirror and be honest with what your wounds are.
And if you can't do that, if you can't look yourself right in the mirror, start
help.
there.
Seek help. And I don't care if it's a divorce coach, a therapist, a psychologist, a friend who's going to tell you point blank.
Straight up.
But here's another problem. We'll take this to about 35 minutes. Here's the problem. Okay? Fake scenario, but you'll understand. You call me and you're like, Gio, bro, she's got me twisted in all kinds of ways and this and that. Mike, she's a bitch. Get rid of her. She's toxic. She's this, she's that. And this is the way it works with both genders, right?
Sure it does.
Right? Because when Carol calls Susie to talk about Tommy, right? She's going to be like, well, he's an asshole. He's a piece of shit. He's a this, he's a that. It happens both ways. But here's the question that never gets asked.
Here we go.
Mike, what did you do to fuck things up? What was your part of it?
Oh.
And you know why that question never gets asked? 2 reasons. One, the other person doesn't want to hear the question. 2, if they hear it, instead of feeling like you're in their corner, they're going to feel like you're against them.
Exactly. It's almost like an attack. Well, it is somewhat of an attack. It's because it's meant to pierce, right? That question is meant to pierce so that you got to turn the focus from her to yourself.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I released both of my, look, anybody that's been in my life and left, I've released them all with love. But in order for me to get better, get stronger, rather than focus on what it is that they did to me, I have to focus on where I went wrong. Very simple. You play baseball, you can't complain about how the pitcher pitches to you. You have to fix your fucking swing. The problem is yours.
Yep.
That you know, and I'm an old school baseball fan, right? So let's think about, you know, the Randy Johnsons of the world that were able to throw 103 miles an hour. If you're not able to hit his ball, it's not because Randy Johnson's a prick. It's because your bat speed isn't there. Get better.
Right. Exactly.
You know, why was Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan one of the, you know, the best ever? Because they kept on working on themselves.
Some god awful number of free throws.
Look at Shaq, right?
You know,
you mentioned free throw. Look at Shaquille O'Neal, right? I think he has a career average of like 32% of the line. Or
yeah, it's like a third.
Right?
Yep, you're right. Yep, Hack-a-Shaq is a big thing.
Oh, Hack-a-Shaq was major.
And it worked.
But did the fucker improve himself at the line? Not really. The guy could have added 12 points a game on average just because of Hack-a-Shaq. But the problem was his.
Yep.
So if we're doing a takeaway here, red flags don't exist, except for the one. If you haven't healed from some kind of trauma, and if you are not willing to look at yourself in the mirror, you're going to end up dumping a red flag on somebody for no goddamn reason.
So let's do a couple quick things here before we go. What does an unhealed person look like? Or are they going to sound different? Are they going to what kind of things do you think? And I have some ideas of myself, but what do you think, Joe? What do you look for? How do you know that a person is not healed?
They ask for questions about your, like the focus, not that it's a bad thing to talk about the past, but the focus is on your past.
On the past.
So I'll give you an example. I'll meet with someone, they're like, well, how long have you been single? What's your longest relationship been? And like, I'll answer them. But then I'm going to ask them a question. Do you realize that I didn't ask you the same question? I'm asking you, what are you doing that's exciting this week that's going to feed your soul? And you're asking me, when was my last relationship over?
Right. They're driving using their mirrors. Driving forward by looking back.
But you're steering at the rear view. So what happens? At a certain point, you're going to smash into another car, or you're going to go off-road because all you're doing is you're focusing on them.
Yep. Bingo.
That to me is that warning sign. And it's also when you ask the tough questions, how they answer. Mike, what have you done to heal from your past trauma? I'm not asking you what's happened in the past, but what have you done in your life in terms of personal development? If they get insulted on that question,
then they know something's going on. The healing probably is not gone. My thoughts were about some of the simple, easiest things that will trigger. There's triggers. We're going to talk red flags and triggers, but something small, and they have an outburst, or they have anger, they have underlying, stuff, because a wound, when they're not healed, hurts, and there's pain, and a lot of times there's anger, there's just, there's those emotions that are not good for the soul.
Check for complaining. The ones that bleed into like their, oh, now there's this friend that's doing this, and I went to the restaurant last week and the service was slow. Oh my God, I went to work, and it's like when there's constant negativity is not a red flag. It is a cry of unhealed trauma.
That right there. Love that.
I love going to a busy restaurant where I know the service is going to be slow. Watch how they react. Watch how they react.
Yep.
I'm the kind of person, I go to a restaurant and it's jam-packed. Excuse me, waiter, bring me a pitcher of water and bring me 2 drinks. Take your time. But
exactly.
when it's the, oh my God, and the service is slow, and it's why are you being impatient? There's ways of dealing with everything. Let's talk. And when you bypass those things, and you're like, oh, okay, maybe she's having a rough day. Maybe it's this. Maybe it's that. Maybe he's doing. The thing is that later on, when you two are fighting to no end, it all started. The warning sign was in the restaurant the night that either of you blasted the waiter.
Yep. True.
And that's how you bring out the worst in each other, because you bring out the best in each other when you're healed and you move forward. You bring out the worst in each other when your unhealed trauma spills into your relationship. So again, look at yourself in the mirror. If you have wounds, heal them before they spill into your next relationship. And we're all, here's the thing, we are all, myself included, you included, guilty of fucking up relationships because we brought unhealed trauma into the next one.
Yep, totally agree with that. And the fact that, and I know I have male friends that I know have not healed.
We could do 6 podcasts on my dating stories. Brother, it will become a comedy series. Netflix might pick us up.
It would, I mean, we didn't really even get to the fact that I had a similar, I don't know if it was the same day or not, but I spent an overnighter with my nieces while their mom was out at a dinner. Okay. And then came late, and got like bad reactions about, the fact that I would bring what they would want.
You're the uncle.
Skittles and, et cetera, et cetera.
You're the uncle.
Gum.
You're the uncle.
Yep. Exactly. So anyway, that's how Gio and I mean, we had this mind-blowing deal about it's amazing.
It was my goddaughter's birthday not too long ago. I took her to 3 different stores for a shopping spree.
Nice.
Because I wanted to, and I saw her face lit up, and I got 172 hugs. Apparently, I was doing it for attention rather than warming the heart of my goddaughter, who's 12.
Right.
Took my godson for his birthday, bought him a bunch of Legos. Apparently, I'm seeking attention.
Wow.
When what I'm doing is fueling a child's passion.
Exactly. All right, Gio. Well, we went 40 minutes on this one.
Yeah, but you know what? I
That's
think
okay.
anybody who's watching this is gonna have a fucking riot with it.
I it's just yeah. We turned some corners, but I mean, take home,
Heal your trauma.
heal,
It's not
yeah,
a red
heal your
flag.
trauma, and then you'll have less red flags when you do. Because if you're the one throwing red flags, and you know, you pretty much need to look inward. Like I used to have a lot of red flags about shit, and I needed to heal, and I have for the most part. There's still some
So
stuff,
you didn't have, so you don't have red flags. You have trauma.
right?
Single but bleeding PTSD all over the place.
Yep. There you go.
I think we have the title for our show.
Love those.
So, to the guys and women, if you end up listening to this, thank you for being a part of the show.
Absolutely, and thank you, Sam.
Thank you, Sam, for chiming in with the comment. And again, look at yourselves in the mirror. If there's trauma to be healed, go out, seek the help. And we're going to continue doing our part to challenge your style of thinking, to challenge who you are, and to help you make something better of your life the same way that, Mike and I tried to do it with our lives.
Absolutely.
So on behalf of Mike, this is Whiskey Geo. Peace out. Next week.
Love you, brother. Where's the? Oh, here we go.